All right, all right. Hello, everyone, and now welcome to a game between Ark and KiWiKaKi. This game taking place here on Concealed Hill. This is a match from the Arcadia North American qualifier. Hopefully, it will be great. Thanks. Are you also casting live games in the future? I really enjoy watching. Well, casting live games requires me to actually set aside time. I have cast live games before. I have cast with Todd. I've cast with I've cast live before. Well, back in the day, I cast with Day 9 for StarCraft 2. But this has turned much more into a hobby, and while trying to actually schedule in some real large block of time for casting has been a bit difficult. Anyways, Ark opening things up with the Keeper of the Grove. He will be going up against a Farseer here. So Farseer versus Keeper of the Grove, a battle of the intellects, another Night Elf versus an Orc matchup today, as this game is already getting underway. Maybe if the donation is good enough to take a day off, I would do it. But I also try to save my vacation days specifically to spend time with the family as well. All right, Ancient of War can absorb quite a bit of damage. Ark needs to be careful. He could end up taking too much damage on that Ancient of War and actually get it taken down here. It is going to end up getting down to 52 hit points. Needs to eat some trees. Down to 34. What is it doing? Wow, that Ancient of War, very low on hit points, but somehow sticking around here. Ark, and not being as careful as he needs to be, cutting that extremely close. Not quite sure why he wasn't eating trees here, as he was wandering around, not regenerating hit points at all. He's taking more damage, and he does get taken down. The Ancient of War of Ark actually falls to creeps because he never ate a tree, and now production is severely halted for Ark right there. KiWiKaKi should be able to capitalize on that mistake, but he may not even realize that Ark made a mistake just quite yet. Is it a pro game? I believe this is a semi-pro. KiWiKaKi, Ark, both players, both North American players, who do compete. I don't know what their MMR is, but yeah, Ark making a bit of a mistake right there. And remember, when you are playing games like this in an actual cup, nerves may get the better for you anyway. Nerves may get the better of you from time to time. Archer getting ensnared right there, and even there is a shadow meld is revealed because the ensnare did come from creeps. All right, Farseer looking to engage against the Keeper of the Grove here, and KiWiKaKi, KiWiKaKi seems to be getting all the advantages right here, as he does have this fountain of health to try and heal up a little bit later, making sure to close off some of the weaknesses that Orc armies often have, which is late game healing. Down to the south here, Tree of Life, Hunter's Hall now being placed down. It looks like since there is no more Ancient of War, Ark is just hoping to buy time with this Keeper of the Grove. Needs to retreat all the way back home, already down to 104 hit points, and will need to heal back up in a dramatic fashion. Meanwhile, the archers getting in a little bit of poking damage onto that Farseer. All right, Ark is going to heal up here. There are those Spirit Wolves. Spirit Wolves are going to try and take a look around on the inside of this base. And what is going to end up happening now? Keeper of the Grove going after the Spirit Wolves. No real experience there. Both sides opting to not really build much of an army early on, even though it looks as though KiWiKaKi is now transitioning into headhunters, and perhaps eventually berserkers. Meanwhile, once this Tree of Ages is done, I do believe we are going to be looking at dual Ancients of War, hence the Hunter's Hall, and no dual Ancients of can't even speak clearly today. Dual Ancients of Lore and no Ancients of War. We are looking at a panda as that second hero, so the Keeper of the Grove coupled with the panda to try and put down some early pressure, even though his army is still being trained up. Ark sitting at 25 over 50 supply, but does have a fair amount of gold and will be cranking out those dryads here in just a moment. Tree of Ages also, well, training up some wisps that were lost there as we see a Tauren chieftain out here onto the battlefield. Brewmaster may try and get some breaths of fire across onto some of those headhunters, just try and, well, chip away at some of that damage. Panda gonna go ahead and engage here, gonna go get that breath of fire across, try to finish off this Ogre Magi creep camp as quickly as possible, but the Ogre Magi now benefiting from inner fire and that heals from that Forest Troll High Priest is making it a bit difficult. Breath of fire finishing things off right there as the Forest Troll High Priest is next. Howdy, Crota, help. Well, I am doing fairly well. Thank you for thank you for tuning in and enjoying the cast here. Always absolutely fun. All right, dual Ancients of Lore are in fact training up Dryads, and Tree of Ages is not upgrading the Tree of Eternity yet, so no sign of any sort of bears. We may be going into a mass Dryad strategy, and that mass Dryad strategy may work well if there are no shadow hunters. The headhunters themselves need to get to tier 3 to really get that hit point advantage, but instead KiWiKaKi opting to go for an expansion instead here, as we are looking at, well, a couple of purges to finish off these units as KiWiKaKi is still building up this Great Hall. Panda sitting at level 1 could get into a little bit of trouble there. We'll get some bonus hit points. And now Farseer may come back across and try and put pressure onto all of these units here. Ark is in trouble again, trying to retreat back. Farseer able to play that harassment game as the Keeper of the Grove is sitting at level 2 and could perhaps, well, could easily stop this harassment once it, well, joins back out here onto the battlefield. Are we going to get some of that abolished magic here? Are trying to finish off some of these units. There goes one. Well, come on, finishing off both of those right there. I don't know if it was timed life. Nope, it looks like experience was given. Nature's Blessing already being researched early on here, so not quite sure why he wants the additional armor right now. Perhaps he's going to be moving a treant, or perhaps trying to set up an expansion a little bit later. Meanwhile, the Tauren Chieftain and the Farseer are already getting ready for the engagement, and it looks as though this army is just that much larger, as we are looking at an army of Wisp now making its way back over. Ark may be trying to do an Ancient Protector push, and well, and those Ancient Protectors will benefit from that additional fortified armor. No, dual. All right. Ancient of War push. All right, so building up Ancients of War as your front line, and then having your Dryads be your ranged units. Ancients of War have the added bonus of not requiring any sort of supply there, and with that additional armor and that faster movement speed, they are able to eventually get to where you want them to go. Panda taking a purge, then followed by a stomp here. Are we going to see a Breath of Fire? Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire across the majority of that Orc army. And now in comes a bunch of illusions as well. Purge is now going down. They were trying to create a little bit of traffic. Tauren Chieftain Stomp is not going to be all that effective, as the Panda could continue to get more Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire off, but still needs quite a bit of mana. Only one Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire combination really works well here, as there's another Breath of Fire there to try and push damage through. Keeper of the Grove now getting up to level 3. Dryads now trying to dance apart across all of these different ways, as the Keeper of the Grove takes a stomp as well. More Treants are now making their way over. Grunts are going to try and engage here. What is going on? This is just an absolute messy bloodbath, as units after unit are falling on multiple sides. Keeper of the Grove finishes off a Grunt here. Dryad does need to try and retreat back here, as well as the Farseer is getting up to level 3 and now trying to, will end up falling back here. Ancients of War now are already on the move off to the north. There is a watchtower in position, and these Ancients of War, 900 hit point, 7 armor, slow attack speed units do absorb quite a fair bit of damage. We are also looking at fortified armor on the burrows, so those Dryads are not going to be able to focus down those Orc burrows or those watchtowers all that easily. Grunt, slow poison, damage over time will rack up quite a bit, as the units are still looking to retreat once again. Off to the north here, Ancient of War needs to make its way back over and perhaps do a little bit of healing. Dryads are, well, absorbing quite a bit of damage, and there goes some abolished magic as well, as those spirit wolves are taken down pretty much in an instant. Dryads want to focus down those shaman. Meanwhile, headhunters, Tauren Chieftain could try to get a stop. Headhunters are focusing down the Dryads. Both sides are countering each other rather nicely. There's a big breath of fire across multiple headhunters, though, as units are now looking to retreat back. All right, Watchtower trying to finish, trying to get repaired and stay alive here. That one Watchtower trying to act as a deterrent, but that's still going to cost quite a bit of gold, as the Brewmaster uses a Potion of Lesser Invulnerability to stay alive. Dryads continuing to focus back and forth here. Keeper of the Grove engaging Tauren Chieftain, finishes off another Dryad. 35 supply compared to 43, as the Ancients of War were actually rooted, as the, well, Panda getting taken down there. All right. Ancient of War making a trek over to the hills, but it looks as though this Watchtower could end up getting taken down a little bit more, well, trailing to try and focus down those low hit point units. 30 supply compared to 40. A little bit of a messy game here, as Ark is now trying to shut down this expansion, losing one of the Ancients of War, but, well, peons are finally getting taken down, so repairs are not going to be, well, that abundant. Tree of Life being built off to the north side of this expansion location. Perhaps he wants to try and set up his own expansion now. Meanwhile, Scroll of Speed inbound, as the Dryads, all of these Dryads could easily get taken down here. All right, Headhunter is going to be trying to poke apart all of these Dryads. Scroll of Town Portal being used. Dryad's going to get taken down. There goes one. Another one. Nope, not going to get taken down, as the Ancients of War rooting themselves, getting in the position to act as at least a bit of, well, a stalling tactic, as more Dryads, well, heading back to the expansion location on the bottom right. Okay, trying to predict what Ark is going to do here has been rather difficult. He's been always coming up with these a little bit off-ball strategies that that would work against, well, that you would normally see work well against other players on the ladder. However, because his attention is constantly focused or switching between multiple locations, he wasn't able to be as effective with those Ancient of Wars as he was hoping for. The Tree of Life does have that faster movement speed, so it will be able to start rooting here and then entangling that gold mine in just a moment. Meanwhile, the Panda is sitting at level 3 and has picked up a Ring of Regeneration as as a follow-up item here. Meanwhile, Keeper of the Grove does want to try and get to level 4 here. And at some point in time, Ark may want to try and clear up those fountains of health, not only for the item, but for the gold. But that would then end up opening up that fountain of health to the Orc player as well. Tauren Chieftain sitting at level 4, going to pick up a Tome of Strength +2 here. And it looks like KiWiKaKi is just playing a very cold and calculating game. He doesn't want to overexpose himself, and he is just trying to take any advantage that he can. He did clear out this Fountain of Health here. Farseer and Tauren Chieftain both sitting at level 4. Meanwhile, while Ark is looking to clear out this Ogre Lord, King of the Hill, the high creep camp here, and perhaps pick up a very powerful item. There was an entangle on that Ogre Lord there. Units are now making their way back around. Ogre Lord will get taken down, and that is going to be Endurance Aura on the Brewmaster. A very nice item pickup for faster movement speed to try and keep up with that Tauren Chieftain. Tauren Chieftain lays down a stomp, but ends up only hitting the 2 heroes, as the Dryads are all magic immune. But Headhunters now still making their way back over to all of those Dryads here, as the Dryads are still trying to get away. Tauren Chieftain getting a little bit of slow poison, as well as the Headhunters are, well, purposely splitting themselves apart to not be vulnerable to Breath of Fire. We are upgrading to tier 3 now, so once we are at Fortress, you better believe Berserker upgrades are in order. The Dryads are separated from the rest of the main army here, as Ark wants to minimize his losses. All right, Dryads finding some Headhunters, but also going to end up taking some damage, or being able to finish off one of those Shamans again, as the Red Drake also joining in on the fight as well here. All right, where is that damage really going? Tauren Chieftain trying to finish off some of those units. It's going to be a fight at the Fountain of Health, and who is going to be able to focus down more units? That is the question there. Dryads want to engage against the Tauren Chieftain, and perhaps try to focus down some of those shamans, as well as the Farseer says, you know what, I don't really want to be here. Panda now could try and engage against the rest of this creep camp here as well, taking a little bit of damage. Dryad also going to heal up at that Fountain of Health as well. All right, low hit point Dryads heading over to the Fountain of Health. Red Drake was taken down. Rune Bracers on that Brewmaster. Not necessarily the item that he was looking for, but he will take it as it does absorb some of the damage from that Chain Lightning and that Stomp. Ogre Magi taken down here. Brewmaster sitting at level 4 will not get to level 5. We'll get a little bit closer as well. Meanwhile, Keeper of the Grove going to be staying at 4.5 as well. Tome of Intelligence +2, adding mana to the Brewmaster, and now giving some healing items to the Brewmaster as well. KiWiKaKi sitting in no upkeep, mining off of 2 bases, and perhaps will be jumping into low upkeep here when the time is right. He wants to max out his item slots. He wants to get some decent upgrades before venturing into low upkeep, which he has done just now. More shamans getting trained up. Berserker upgrade now getting online. Meanwhile, Ark has established up an expansion over here on the bottom right as the Tauren Chieftain and Headhunters and Shamans are now putting pressure onto the Moonwells. Are we going to see a Scroll of Town Portal? Yes, we do. Keeper of the Grove, Scroll of Town Portal already heading back, but that Scroll of the Beast is really not that useful as it does not affect those Dryads. We are still only at Tree of Ages. 59 supply compared to 62. Ark has gotten back into this game, but this expansion does look rather weak. Once a couple of, well, are we going to be getting into perhaps, Demolishers, a way to put pressure onto not only the buildings, but also those Dryads, as those Dryads do generally clump together. All right, Brewmaster is going to get that much closer to level 5, may get to level 5 as the Keeper of the Grove is purposely keeping his distance. Tome of Agility +2, I'm going to give him a little bit more survivability, and the Brewmaster may just be shy. Yeah, 6 experience shy from that next level, getting a Staff of Preservation. Well, on that Dryad, is he going to abolish magic? And, well, abolish magic, does that give level 5? Yes, it does. That was a beautiful play by Ark. Purposely Staff of Preservation, a Dryad sending it back home, and then having that Dryad get the last bit of experience needed for level 5 on that Brewmaster. A beautiful play there. And, well, KiWiKaKi doesn't even know that that Spirit Wolf ended up, or that Dire Wolf ended up giving level 5 with level 3 Breath of Fire. All right. Panda, 375 mana, will have two Drunken Haze Breath of Fire combination possibilities. Meanwhile, Treants are putting pressure inside the mining location here. Dryads are now trying to put pressure here as well. This is a tough spot as the Orc Burrows and the Watchtowers are able to get in quite a bit of piercing damage here. Ark actually sacrificing quite a bit here as the Panda going to try and engage. All right, both sides fighting their way through. There's a Breath of Fire going back across. There's a Scroll of Town Portal as the Stomp was just a little bit late. Panda ending up leaving here as the Dryads now retreating back. I don't quite know what Ark was doing there. Dryads trying to go up against a fortified Orc Burrow and 2 Watchtowers. That is just not a good use of hit points, as I believe a couple of Dryads were lost in that spot. All right, healing up at the Fountain of Health as well, as we're now going to be looking at Demolishers making their way down and finishing off this Tree of Life in a pretty much impressive fashion. The Demolishers should be able to burst down this Tree of Life and then have a Scroll of Town Portal to come back here in time to try and save the expansion here. All right, giant chunk of hit points already gone on that Tree of Life here. 1 or 2 more rounds should be able to do. Are we going to see a Stomp here? There's a Stomp. Is the Tauren Chieftain? Oh, wow, beautifully done there, as the Wisp, even though they were all stunned, still ended up staying alive. Perhaps a Shockwave would have been the better call to try and take down these Wisps. Meanwhile, We are looking at a big attack back the other way. Purge going down onto the Brewmaster. Stomp going to go ahead and stop that Keeper of the Grove. Arc is in trouble trying to retreat back. Are we going to see a Purge onto that Keeper of the Grove? No, Purge onto the Torrent or onto the Brewmaster. There's another Stomp there, and both heroes are just constantly in trouble. Keeper of the Grove constantly getting purged down. Treants trying to open things up here. Torrent Chieftain does throw down another Stomp. That is so much damage as we see Berserker upgrades online. Torrent Chieftain gets up to level 5, increasing that radius just a little bit more as the Demolishers are now making their way back over. All right. Heals could be in store as well. 3 Demolishers. I don't believe Liquid Fire has been researched, though, even though that could be an impressive follow-up. 70 supply compared to 79 as, well, KiWiKaKi wants to shut down that expansion once and for all. Panda doesn't have a staff. No, the Staff of Preservation is on the Keeper of the Grove. Some of these items need to be transferred back around. Nope. Staff of Preservation now also on the Brewmaster. Ring of Regeneration and a Moonstone being used here as the Farseer now trying to retreat back down. All of these Demolishers, however, could get completely picked apart here as Demolishers need to turn back around, be able to land some damage onto some of those Dryads as the Treants are now going to go ahead and engage once more. All right, Bears are out here onto the battlefield. Big damage coming back across. The Bears are actually now stunned down for quite a bit. This is, well, bloodlusted and frenzied headhunters here. So much damage as we are going to be looking at some low hit point Bears getting taken down. Farseer now sitting at level 5. Level 3 Chain Lightning bouncing around across multiple targets. Treants are still trying to get higher or trained up, summoned out, and then deal this backline damage here as Wisps are coming back around to try and detonate and remove all of that bloodlust once more. Chain Lightning still bouncing around here, and Demolishers could end up getting taken down. Bears are going after the Demolishers. There goes one Demolisher, but Bears are also falling left and right as well. Both sides are suffering big losses, but KiWiKaKi having that supply advantage, at least for now. All right, bunch of low hit point Bears, but no more Chain Lightning to finish off these units. Bears are able to find their targets pretty easily. There goes another Stomp, slowing things down. Staff of Preservation saving the Panda as Bear after Bear is getting destroyed. 61 supply compared to 33, and I believe the writing is on the wall. A 20 supply advantage for KiWiKaKi, but KiWiKaKi is not opting to put pressure on the expansion as I originally thought he was. Instead, going to heal back up at the Fountain of Health before venturing forth. Torrent Chieftain getting very close to level 6 here. All right, Treants are going to end up falling here as well. Torrent Chieftain could easily land down another Stomp. There is another Stomp here. Keeper of the Grove going to end up falling. No Staff of Staff of Preservation in time to save that low hit point Keeper of the Grove as the Torrent Chieftain does in fact get to level 6. Kodo Beast, well, adding in some damage bonus across multiple units. There's a Purge onto the Brewmaster. Torrent Chieftain waiting for a little bit more mana for a Stomp. There's a Breath of Fire across multiple units, but this is going to be a parting. Well, nope, Staff of Preservation coming back the other way as the Keeper of the Grove takes its place, enabled for the save. All right, more healing once again. KiWiKaKi sitting at 66 supply. Arc sitting at 38. KiWiKaKi looking like he'll be able to easily take this game now with an impressive 32 supply advantage and, well, a level 6 Torrent Chieftain. You can't knock down that Torrent Chieftain. He'll just come back stronger and better. And after you invest so much time trying to take down the Torrent Chieftain, you know that your army has already suffered some big losses as well. Panda could get off a Drunken Haze, Breath of Fire across multiple units here, racking up a little bit more damage. There's a Purge onto the Panda here as the Torrent Chieftain should be trying to land down a Stomp. There's a Stomp there. Chain Lightning, Keeper of the Grove taken down. Panda is going to be the following up here in just a moment. Could even give level 6 to the Farseer, but I think we all see the writing on the wall here. Arc, short of a catastrophic mistake by KiWiKaKi, is going to lose this game, and there you have it. Play offline. All right, so KiWiKaKi outlasting his opponent there, always seemed to have the advantage throughout the matchup and was just trying to build that lead slowly but surely. Oftentimes you'll see players or less experienced players trying to press their advantage a little bit more, but by pressing their advantage, instead of just trying to build that advantage slightly, it gives an opportunity for the other player to get back ahead. Arc did play some interesting strategies using Ancients of War to try and take down that northern expansion, but it just didn't work out well enough. But Ark was constantly pivoting his strategies at time and time again. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hope you guys enjoyed it.